In this video, we are discussing on probability and statistics, and we are given a question to find the random variable of the Poisson distribution with 0.8, and we are asked to calculate different probabilities. So how do we go about this? Solution. For more on this topic, you need to subscribe to this channel. Of course, we see that X follows the Poisson distribution given. The Poisson distribution lambda. So it then means that our lambda is equal to 0.8 as given from the equation. Now, we say that if X follows the Poisson distribution of 0.8, it then means that the probability that X is equal to K is equal to exponential negative lambda raised to the power of K all over K factorial. So this is our distribution for the Poisson distribution. We already know that the value for our lambda. Our lambda is 0.8. Yes, because X follows the Poisson distribution of lambda, and our lambda is 0.8 given from the equation. Now, the first one we are asked to calculate for A, and A is given as P is equal to P is such that X is equal to 4. So A, the probability that X is equal to 4, we are asked to calculate for it. The probability that X is equal to 4 is exponential negative lambda, which is this lambda raised to the power of K all over K factorial, is equal to exponential negative 0.8, because 0.8 is our lambda, and 0.8 raised to the power of K. K is 4 in this case, all over 4 factorial. So that's what we have. So it then means that the probability that X is equal to 4 is equal to, now what is exponential negative 0.8? Exponential negative 0.8 will give us 0.4493 multiplied by 0.8 raised to the power of 4. 0.8 raised to the power of 4. We have 0.4096 all over 4 factorial. 4 factorial is 24. 4 factorial is 24. 24. So it then means that the probability that X is equal to 4 will be equal to 0.4493 multiplied by 0.4096 is equal to answer divided by 24. So we have 0.00767. So this is our P. X is equal to 4 for the first question. Now we'll take the second question. The second question says we should find P, X is greater than or equal to 1. So for me to do that, we move over to this side of the board to do that. It means we have to delete this side of the board. So for more on this topic, you need to subscribe to this channel. So the probability, B, the probability that X is greater than or equal to 1 is what we'll look for here. And the last one, says the probability that 4 is less than or equal to X is less than or equal to 8. So we have to remind ourselves of this. For more on this topic, you need to subscribe to this channel. So the probability that x is greater than or equal to 1 is equal to 1 minus the probability that x is equal to 0. So we'll first look for this. Whatever we get, we'll now say 1 minus what we get. So we have here the probability that x is equal to 0 is equal to exponential negative lambda raised to the power of k all over k factorial, which is the same thing as exponential negative 0.8 multiplied by 0.8 raised to the power of 0 all over 0 factorial. So the probability that x is equal to 0 will be equal to, now we have our negative 0.8 to be 0.4493, 0.4493 multiplied by 1 all over all over 0 factorial is 1. So we have 0.4493. So therefore, the probability that x is equal to 0 is 0.4494. And now we say 1 minus our b says the probability that x is greater than or equal to 1 is equal to 1 minus the probability that x is equal to 0, which is 1 minus 0.4493, which is equal to, so we find it out, 1 minus 0.4493. We have 0.5507. So we have the probability that x is greater than or equal to 1 is equal to 0.5507. So that's the answer. Now, we move over to the third question, which is C, who says the probability that 4 is less than or equal to x is less than or equal to 8. So we move over to this other side of the board. So the sixth part says the probability, we should find the probability that 4 is less than or equal to x is less than or equal to 8. It's the same thing as the probability that x is equal to 4 plus the probability that x is equal to 5 plus the probability that x is equal to 6 plus the probability that x is equal to 7 plus the probability that x is equal to 8. Now, we've already calculated for 4 what has been deleted. We now say, first, the probability that x is equal to 4 will be equal to exponential negative lambda multiplied by lambda raised to the power of k all over k. Now, our k is 4. We have this to be exponential negative 0.8 multiplied by 0.8 raised to the power of 4 all over 4 factorial. So the probability that x is equal to 4 is equal to, now, negative 0.8. So we have 0.4493 multiplied by 0.8 raised to the power of 4 is 0.4096 divided by 24, which is equal to 0.4493 multiplied by 0.4096. Answer divided by 24. So you have 0.007668. That's for 4. Now, we also calculate for Px is equal to 5. Px is equal to 5 is the same thing as what we almost did for 4. P factorial, which is equal to exponential 0.8 raised to the power of, this time is 5, divided by 5 factorial. So we calculate this over this side. That's what we'll do. So we'll move over to this side of the board to calculate for Px is equal to 5. So for more on this topic, you need to subscribe to this channel. So we have the probability that x is equal to 5 is equal to, now we have exponential, we first have 0.4493 multiplied by 0.8 raised to the power of 5. So we have here to be 0.32768 divided by 5 factorial. What is 5 factorial? 5 factorial will give us 120. 120. So our P, x is equal to 5, will be equal to, now we do this arithmetically to give us 0.4493 multiplied by 0.32768. We have answer divided by 120. We have 0.001227. Now we calculate for P, x is equal to 6. Px is equal to 6 is the same thing, the same process. Exponential raised to the power of lambda, lambda raised to the power of k all over k factorial, which is equal to exponential 0.8 multiplied by 0.8 raised to the power of 6 all over 6 factorial. So we have P, x is equal to 6 to be equal to, this first one is 0.4493 multiplied by 0.8 raised to the power of 6. We have 0.262144 divided by 6 factorial. What is 6 factorial? 6 factorial. We have 720. So it then means that our probability that x is equal to 6 will be equal to, now we have 0.4493 times 0.262144. So answer divided by 720. We have 0.001636. So that's what we have. We do P, x is equal to 7 and 8. So that's the next thing we'll calculate. For more on this topic, you need to subscribe to this channel. Now, we move over to this part of the board. All we need to do is to rewrite this. So we have gotten that of 4. The answer for P, x is equal to 4 is this. So we just put them here because for you to get this, when you get all of these probability, you now add them to get what we have here. So we have to delete this part of the board. Px is equal to 4. Let's write out what it is. So the probability that 4 is less than or equal to x is less than or equal to 8 is equal to Px is equal to 4 give us 0.007668 plus P equal to 5 gave us this. It gave us 0.001227 plus P is equal to 6 gave us 0.001636 plus. Now we have to calculate for P, x is equal to 7 and P, x is equal to 8. We calculate for P, x is equal to 7 and x is equal to 8. So we'll delete this part of the board. We'll delete this part of the board to do that. For more on this topic, you need to subscribe to this channel. Now, let's go here. P, x is equal to 7 is equal to exponential negative lambda raised to the power of k all over k factorial, which is equal to exponential negative 0.8 multiplied by 0.8 raised to the power of, this time is 7 because we have 7 here, all over 7 factorial. So the probability that x is equal to 7 will be equal to, now we have exponential negative 0.8. We have this to be 0.4493 multiplied by 0.8 raised to the power of 7, which is 0.2097152 all over 7 factorial. 7 factorial. 7 factorial is 5040. So it then means that our P, x is equal to 7 is equal to, now we multiply the whole of that divided by 5040, sorry. 0.4493 multiplied by 0.2097152. Now we see answer divided by 5040. We have 0.00 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 8, 7. We'll leave it at that. So that is what for p x is equal to 7. Now we say p x is equal to 8, which is the last. So we have exponential negative 0.8 times, sorry, say p, this is negative lambda, lambda raised to the power of k all over k factorial, which is equal to exponential negative 0.8 multiplied by 0.8 raised to the power of 8 all over 8 factorial. So we have p x is equal to 8, which is equal to, we have this to be 0.4493. That means exponential negative 0.8 multiplied by 0.8 raised to the power of 8. 0.8 raised to the power of 8, which is 0.167777216 divided by 8 factorial, 8 factorial, which is 40320. So the probability that x is equal to 8 is equal to 0.4493 multiplied by 0.167777216. We say answer divided by 40230, which is 0.12345,187. So this is what we got, and this is what we got for P7. Px is equal to 7 and Px is equal to 8. All we need to do is to come here and write out for Px is equal to 7. Px is equal to 7 is 0.1234187 plus Px is equal to 8. 1012345,187. So that is it. The next thing to do is just to tabulate for our final answer. We tabulate for our final answer. So we add whatever we have gotten. So the probability that 4 is less than or equal to x is less than or equal to 8 is equal to 0.007668 plus 0.001227 plus 0.001636 plus 0.0000187 plus 0.0000187 equal to, so we have 0.0105515 7. We can still write it approximately to give us 0.01055. So this becomes our final answer for the C part of the equation given. So this is how we can compute different probabilities for a given random variable with its distribution. For more on this topic, you need to subscribe to this channel.